All right, my name is Heather Gray, and the program is Just Peace, and I want to welcome you all to our program this evening. I'm looking forward to this. As always, we're going to be talking with Rashid Nuri of the Truly Living Well Center for Natural Urban Agriculture. But I'm here in the studio with Kevin Karen, and first we're going to get some news about what's happening in the city. Kevin always has this great list of so many things happening in Atlanta and around the state. So, Kevin, what's happening?
Friday, July 31st, I want to tell you about something we'll be talking about today. Truly Living Well, Center for Natural Urban Agriculture, will have their weekly market. Truly Living Well is a model for a local sustainable food system. Creating food abundance is the foundation for community food security and self-sufficiency. Truly Living Well demonstrates the viability of producing high-quality, naturally grown fruits and vegetables in the urban market. That's Friday, July 31st from 2 p.m. until dusk, and it will be at their Wheat Street Garden, 75 Hilliard Street, Northeast.
As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be talking with Rashid Nuri. It's our monthly discussion with him, the last Monday of the month. It's always a treat to find out what's happening, Rashid. He is with the Truly Living Well Center for Natural Urban Agriculture. And
greetings, everybody.
Good.
And thank you, Kevin, for the plug.
Exactly.
So we have 3 markets a week, not just the one. So.
Okay, maybe I need to add all those, you think?
No, you don't need to add any. I'm just happy that you even mentioned us. That's great.
Well, what about the other 2? Well, there's a new thing now happening in the East Point area, right?
Well, we're at the downtown fire station number 1 on Wednesday evenings in East Point, and then we also do the Freedom Market on Saturday up by the Carter Center. So, and then we're doing a number of special events every week, delivering CSAs, baskets. We're staying pretty busy.
Yeah, and in addition to that, Truly Living Well sells food sells food actually to restaurants around the city, right?
We do that too. Yes,
yeah, no, it's a good thing. I mean, I think it's an important reflection, Rashid, of the fact that there's just so much more interest now in eating healthy food.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, right.
And not only that,
I would say that it is.
We deliver the food. We pick up the waste that's left over and compost that so we can grow more food.
Yeah. Right. Now, full disclosure here, the other day I went over to Truly Living Well and I got some of the wonderful compost myself. So
the plants grew 2 feet overnight, didn't they?
They actually did. Exactly. Well, while we're on that discussion, where do you get the waste from the various restaurants? And
we get it from the restaurants. We collect the kitchen waste from Grady Hospital, from the Sweet Auburn Market, many of the coffee shops within the radius, restaurants. People drive up and bring it. I just emptied out my freezer yesterday, so it went down there too.
Yeah, so I want you all to know, if you haven't already thought of this, but I learned this from Rashid because, if I'm cooking something and I have, carrots or whatever left over, I used to just put it on my counter, and then when I got a chance to take it outside, because I have a compost pile as well. But Rashid said, put it in your freezer. So that's what I do. I end up sometimes having a freezer full of this stuff.
I did. It's so strange now it's empty because I don't eat a lot of frozen food. My freezer generally contains compostable materials.
Right. So I am going to be talking with Rashid about some other things that he's doing apart from Wheat Street and the gardens he has around the city. But we will be opening up the phone lines. I want you all to know. I know that so many of you like to join this discussion. We so appreciate it, and ask Rashid questions or make some comments.
Well, the reciprocal. I enjoy talking with you, Heather, but I love talking to these people who are listening. That's a lot of fun.
Exactly.
I call it the game Stump the Chump. See if they can. I'm the chump. See if you can stump me.
Exactly. Now, one of the things that you've been doing in the city, Rashid, is working with the Task Force for the Homeless, and so they now have a garden on the top of the building that they reside in. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
The rooftop garden at Peachtree and Pine is, to my knowledge, the largest rooftop garden in Atlanta.
Wow.
And those of you who know Peachtree and Pine, it has a very colorful background.
Exactly.
There are very few, most people either for it or against it. And the people who have been against Peachtree and Pine are substantive because it occupies a full block right downtown Atlanta, right across from Crawford Long, Emory Hospital. and it's a spot that many commercial developers, including the hospital, would like to obtain. If you know over there on North, between North and Ponce, Peachtree and Piedmont, you got that new imaging center there. They wanted to put that down at Peachtree and Pine, but they couldn't get it. Anita Beatty she has a somewhat of a vertical disadvantage, but she is feisty and she takes no tea for the fever, and she stands up for those folks. I met Anita many years ago. I was at Whole Foods, and this woman was sitting out there. It was a dead winter. It was cold. She was sitting out there with 3 children, and it was problematic for me to see her sitting there. Can I take you somewhere? And I guess I was taking her to the bus station, and she said, she really had no place to go. There was no bus leaving. So through another friend, I got hold of Anita. Anita called Anita Beatty up. She says, well, I don't have any beds, but you come over anyway. And let me see what I can do. Yeah. And that's my kind of people.
Yeah. That's right. Now, can you also comment on, maybe you know a little bit about this. My understanding is that there was actually an attack on some of the people who donate to Task Force for the Homeless. Do you know anything about that?
Well, not much, but yeah, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. If you can disparage those who are supporting something that you're not interested in, that's what the U.S. government does. It blows up people who support people that they don't like. So it's just
so actually, you called me a while back, a few years ago as well, Rashid, about some people who needed to go down to the task force, and I took them down. So,
yeah, she's good folks. So the questions about the rooftop garden. So we have trained 8 or 10 of their residents, had them come through our training classes. So now they provide the leadership along. There's a gentleman, a lawyer. I don't know where Carl gets all the time, but he works with that garden. Now his daughter works over there too, and he's been providing the on-site leadership to the young people. Not all young people. Man, Stanley, who came to our class, is 60 years old, and they're also so excited to be able to take the knowledge and understandings that they have obtained at Truly Living Well and taking them and implementing them on the garden, on the roof. They want to expand. We have come to an agreement that we're going to conduct training programs on their site. We've got to raise the money. You always got to raise money to do the training on site there so they can expand it. They're taking that food that they're growing on the roof down to their kitchen, and it's exciting. So we've been able to help people gain new skills, greater sense of self-worth. This is part of what Anita does there is help people self-actualize those who have been in desperate conditions. It's a shame. We live in America in the 21st century. This is the richest country in the entire history of the world, and we got people who no homes, no medical care, not getting adequate educations. No, it's disgusting, but it's the reality. So you have angels like Anita Beatty who go out of where her life is helping people, and she staunchly defends those folks and staunchly defends the work that she does. So if you attack her, you're in trouble.
That's for sure. Now, Gloria Tatum, who is a writer for the Atlanta Progressive News, wrote an article about the rooftop garden at the task force. And so it came out on Atlanta Progressive News, and then it spread around the country. So this friend of mine in California said, Heather, love this article. Actually, I had missed it, I'm embarrassed to say. So I was reading the article on the weekend, and I did a little bit of research, and this article was going every place, Rashid. In fact, it got on some website where more than 16,000 people said they liked it, right? So it's there's
a whole lot of people who read it.
It's an inspiring model.
Who didn't click it, yeah. Yeah, it is, and I'm happy for them that they can get that kind of publicity.
So you're going to be continuing with this work. I was talking with Anita about this, right? You all have some other projects with the task force for the homeless.
She wants to do some training on site, which we'll do. We just have to put the program together. And again, it takes money. It's just because what we want to see, the urban agricultural training that we do at Truly Living Well is hands-on. Okay, so if she wants to expand that garden, you have to invest. I had a man make a comment to me the other day that all small businesses that are successful go bankrupt first. Okay, because you cannot capitalize expansion from internal revenues. You need some external finance to be able to make it work. So they got a nice garden up there. They've been able to get it done, but in order to take it to the next level, you got to come up with some cash to invest in it. I mean, and there's some improvements we can do on what they already have, but to take it another level further, I mean, you got to walk up 4 flights of stairs to get dirt up there. Okay, there's no water up there. I mean, there's just internal infrastructure that needs to be created. So it's really a miracle that they have anything. It's the largest garden in town, and you have to. My bad knees, it's a struggle to walk up them stairs. I need an elevator or something. But those folks run up and down with bags of dirt, with whatever they can compost, all the materials, the wood. I mean, there's no elevator, no lift. They got to go up and down these old rickety stairs that are inside of that building. I wish I could find somebody who would just give her $10 million and let her really just hook that place up. But they haven't had that. So we will do the work. I mean, the commitment is there. The will is there. We just have to come up with the resources to be able to make it happen.
Okay, so tell us what else is happening at Truly Living Well these days.
Oh, let me see. We're finishing up our summer camp. We've had 6 sessions of summer camp this year, which is exciting.
And this is with youth?
Yeah, 6 to 14.
Ages 6 to 14.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so about how many youth did you have coming through the camp?
Oh, I'll get the final count Monday. But it's over 100. Over 100 young people.
Yes. So, Rashid, I mean, I always love talking to you about these camps and your observation of what the children are doing. Is there anything in particular you could share, or this time about the camp, or any young person who was particularly inspired?
Oh, you got. I was over there. I guess it was Friday. This one young brother named is Sultan, and Sultan is so cool. He comes from an extraordinarily supportive family, and he was there. His dad was late picking him up, but Sultan had filled a wheelbarrow up with watering cans and was going out watering flowers and herbs around the garden. I just said, "Go ahead, dude." That was just really, and I guess Sultan.
Do your thing.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful thing to see. We're gonna do something new in a couple of weeks. We're having what's called Camp Wow. Don't ask me what that stands for, but what they're doing is we're having a day for autistic children.
Right.
Okay, and activities for them and their parents around the garden. Horticultural therapy is very important. We were talking to one of the local quasi-governmental agencies today, as a matter of fact, and trying to do a little business with them. And they said, "Rashid, we thought you were just a community garden. We had no idea about the breadth and the depth of the programs that you have at Truly Living Well." And I can understand that, because if you come out there and you see the food growing, we have those raised beds, so it looks like a community garden where individuals come in and grow their food. But that's not what we are. We're an educational institute. We have food as the platform, and it's the leverage for all the other activities in which we are engaged. And me personally, what we do, we grow food, we grow people, and we grow community. And I think those are the important thing is to be able to provide that education, to be able to touch people on the many different levels that are required to build community. If you're going to build a nation, you got to have food, clothing, and shelter. Okay? And all of these things are connected. You can't have one without the other. All of the clothing and the shelter, all those materials come from nature, and you got to be able to feed yourself in order to be able to do anything. Feed your family, to be called a husband or a father. Feed your community. I mean, and so this is where we fall down. We run around the world trying to export the so-called values of the United States, so you have all these people who are hungry. How are you going to do that? We can't even take care of the folks that we have right here at home, never mind going around telling other people how they ought to do. And I find that very distressing. But at this age and stage in my life, as we've talked before, I don't get out. You got these young people sitting in here with us who like to go out with their signs and all that. And I say right on to it. I did my share of that. But at this stage in my life, I got to work on building I'm building the world I want to see my grandchildren live in. And the thing that it's unfortunate is that the world my grandchildren are coming into, growing up in, is in bad shape. Now, I know that every generation says that about the next generation. I mean, we had it better better back in our day than these folk do now. You hear my parents say it and my grandparents say it. So I guess that's a continuing thing. So as a human race, we have progressed in so many ways, but look at the cost. I was just listening to the radio coming in here, and a woman in Sao Paulo, Brazil, which is the economic engine for Brazil, and she was so happy when she got her 32-inch TV. She lived in a one-bedroom apartment with her 3 children. She got a 32-inch TV. She was so happy because she saw the bright future. The woman makes $350 a month. She had recently got a pay raise. She's so happy, and then she got fired. Okay, so that means she can't pay her rent. She can't pay the note that she borrowed to get that TV so her children could smile. She said she cried when she got that TV. All right, so the social underpinnings were so thin in this economically bright future that Brazil was demonstrating for a while, and now it's collapsed. So what's she going to do? And it's the problem that a lot of people have in Brazil and having around the world. The economic engine in China has collapsed. So you're seeing a lot of this because of so much of the it's not real. You know, I mean, the way the economies are interconnected now, and as you always say, Heather, it's the jerks that are pulling the strings.
The question is, what is real?
Growing food.
Yeah.
There ain't getting no more real than that. So that's why, rather than for me, that is growing food and growing people, teaching people how to be self-sufficient, self-sustaining, trying to build economic viability with a local food economy. These are the things that become important and are relevant to me, because I could stand here and talk all day about the political economy of the world and who's related to whom, and China and Russia hooking up together to form a front against the West. I mean, you can talk about all that stuff you want to, but it really boils down to food, clothing, and shelter, and who's eating and who's not. And I want to do the best I can to help those who are not eating eat, and those who are eating to eat better. And if you put that on my tombstone, I'll be happy. Say I made a contribution.
Thank you for that, Rashid. I just want everyone to know that you are listening to WRFG Atlanta 89.3 FM, and we're talking with Rashid Nuri of the Truly Living Well Center for Natural Urban Agriculture. So we are going to open up the phone lines. The phone number here into the studio is 404-523-8989. It bears repeating again, Rashid, as you'll say routinely, that the vast majority of the people in the United States and increasingly in the world are living in urban areas.
Oh, 81%.
Yeah.
That's amazing. 81%. So you got to remember that at the turn of the last century, 95% of Americans lived in rural areas. That's a 170-point turnaround in 100 years. That's phenomenal. The world, by the year 2050, will be 70% urban. And if you look at a population map, even of the United States, you can see those maps where they show you where the population is along the coasts. People live along the ocean, around the oceans. I guess that's escape hatches around water. You get up the upper Midwest, around the lakes in Minnesota and Illinois, around Michigan, Detroit. All the great cities of the world are built on water, and those become populated urban areas. So how are we going to feed the people? We can't continue to bring food from halfway around the world. One of the biggest oxymorons that exists right now is organic food grown in China and sold at Walmart. That's equate with Senate intelligence, huh?
Well, people complain about organic food grown in California coming out to Georgia, right?
Well, they don't have to. They just come downtown and come get it from me and the many other local growers. It's really a heartwarming thing to ride around the city and see the number of people who are engaging in production of food locally. And I remember quite clearly what it looked like when we started here 10 years ago. It was a vast desert. There weren't many folk doing it. And by God's grace, we've been able to help a lot of people, inspire people, teach people, demonstrate to people what we do. I had a call this morning from the USDA, they wanted to know about our acreage of peaches and our acreage of grapes. I said, I don't have the acreage. I got grapes out there so the people can see what they look like when they grow. Not much. She says, well, do you have 5 acres? I said, oh, no. You got 1 acre? I said, oh, no. You got 1/10 of an acre? Oh, no. I got a couple of rows of grapes and, a handful of peach trees, but a handful of other fruit trees too, so that people can see it. We can sell the fruit. This is the first year we've had fruit to sell. We sold, no, we didn't get to sell any nectarines. They ate those things so fast, they didn't even get to the table.
So what fruit are you selling?
Well, right now we got figs. We've had blackberries. We have peaches. The apples was too early for apples. They'll be coming along soon. We're going to have kiwis. We got a whole field of kiwis out there. But, not a field. We have enough to be able to put on a couple of market tables. A little bit of everything. We have the pears are coming in. We got some of those. And each year that the trees grow, it takes 3 to 7 years before you get fruit out of a fruit tree. And that's right where we are now. Downtown, it's the 5th year. So the fruit's coming in.
I'm going to put the notice out again. We are talking with Rashid Nuri of the Truly Living Well Center for Natural Urban Agriculture, and we want to open up the phone lines if you all have questions or comments you'd like to make. The phone number into the studio is 404-523-8989. We'd love to hear from you.
Let me ask you a question. I know WRFG's had problems with their towers and issues and off the air sometime, and
right.
So somebody did hear us because the phone's ringing now.
Right.
But y'all making good progress on fixing that?
We are. We are, and we've had a lot of support from the community during this time.
Well, that's a blessing.
Rashid, where do you get your seeds and so forth? Because you are growing naturally, right? So where are you getting your seeds?
Well, we are not big enough to save our own seed 100%. So we have a number of vendors that we buy from who they sell organic seed and high mowing seed, Fedco, Rickers. I mean, this whole list. If you need to know, anybody can send me an email, Rashid at Truly Living Well, and I will trulylivingwell.com, and I can send you a list of vendors. But there are a lot of people who are still selling that you can get organic seed. You don't have to get all those Monsanto stuff.
So the thing is, it's important for people to know, and I know you say this routinely, of course, when you're on the program, but you are growing naturally, right? You're not using any chemicals.
No, we don't use any chemicals, no pesticides, nothing artificial out there at all. We make our own compost. I do buy compost because I need, we're big, but we make a lot of compost. We provide compost for people. We just had a class on compost making 2 weeks ago. We'll have some more coming up. There's an initiative from the Green Food Well Alliance to expand the compost distribution around the city, and hopefully this fall they will support compost production. Compost, compost, compost. When I first got here, that was my mantra. Every place I went, I got problems with my garden. Compost, compost, compost. And apparently somebody heard me because now that is what people are talking about now. Let's get some compost.
Excellent.
And the Community Garden Association decided a year ago what their biggest problem was. They didn't have any compost. So the Food Well Alliance that has been their focus, is getting compost to people, and which I think is great.
As Rashid will say, it's all in the soil. We do have a caller. Caller, you there?
Yes.
Yes, you have a question or comment you'd like to make.
A question.
Great.
A request for advice. Hi, Rashid. This is Miriam Dormer.
It's
always a pleasure hearing you speak.
Well, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Miriam is a grower herself.
Okay.
And she works with children, and she's just done fantastic work around the city. So how can I serve you, Ms. Miriam?
Well, Rashid, I was wondering if you could dig a little bit deeper into the way in which the ag community can work to greater economic vitality within the community in a way that provides for adequate income and benefits for the people who are growing food across the city. And if you have any advice to provide all of us so that we can implement some of those practices, that would be great.
So many, this country, this society has gotten to the point where we want everything instant. We're looking for instant gratification in so many ways, and particularly with our food. That's why you have all that instant food and garbage that's in the middle of the grocery store. And if I appreciate what you said, and if I understand correctly, the thing that we can do is we have to support one another. The concept is, the language that I like to use is a local food economy. This is where we trade with each other. We buy from each other. If people, we have all these wonderful farmers markets that have come up around town, and if people would shop at those farmers markets, then they're supporting the growers who are growing that food. If people have land that they can make available to young farmers and help them with some support. And Atlanta is lucky. We are the greenest city in America by virtue of trees and open space, but it's not enough just to say, here's some land, go grow the food. Who is going to support those young farmers or whatever age they are, as they get started in the business for the 6 to 9 months that it takes to get a crop in, and even longer to be able to have enough skills to be able to turn up to make enough to sustain yourself. So here the paradox is this. All agriculture in this country is subsidized at every level. All those big farms and commercial farms, they have government money. They have taxpayers' money. All the fruits and vegetables that you see in Kroger and Publix have public money that supports their growth, whether it's through cheap water, the support of the water that goes into the irrigation, the discounts on the oil that is necessary, the petroleum products necessary to make the fertilizers and the pesticides and all the other chemicals. It's all subsidized. Yet people will turn around and look at those of us in the sustainable food movement and ask that question: are you sustainable? Are you self-sufficient? And my answer is no. And why should I be? Nobody else is. You're paying all this money to these big boys, the commercial agriculture, to grow that food so it appears to be cheap, and what you're getting is food that's subsidized. It's really not that cheap, number one, and it's not nutritious. It doesn't have the nutrient content that you're going to get from food that you buy at the East Atlanta market, the Peachtree market, the DeKalb Farmers Market, the Carter Center, the Freedom Market. So the thing we need to do is support young growers. Now, in every community, the biggest piece of land is always owned by the churches, the mosques, and the synagogues. Yeah, and that land should be used for production. We need to go back to, we did have a phenomenon during the Second World War of the victory gardens, because all the men, we didn't have drones to go kill people, and you actually had to send somebody out there on the battlefield. So people at home started growing their own food.
20 million in victory gardens.
Victory gardens. That would be a great help. So there's a lot of ways. Most of all, Miriam, is just we need to start working with one another, supporting one another. Spend your money, put your money where your mouth is, literally.
I want to thank you so much for calling. We do have some other callers. Caller, are you there? We have another caller. Caller, are you there?
Yes.
Yes. You have a question or comment you'd like to make?
I just have a question. It's kind of adolescent, but I was wondering, what is the information on, the watermelons that don't have the
seeds
in them, and some of the fruits that don't have the seeds? What is going on with that?
All right, it's a very important question. It's not adolescent. And I tell you, in our classes, one of the first things that we say to everybody that comes in, the only dumb question is the one you don't ask. Okay? All right, so watermelons without seeds are unnatural. They cannot reproduce themselves. How are you going to regrow that watermelon if it doesn't even have any seeds for you to be able to replant, to save, to put back in the ground? So it's a hybrid. Okay, and worse now, you got in so many of our much of our food system, we have GMOs. But a hybrid is a plant. Let me go back just a bit. the whole concept of tithing that many religions espouse, where you give a tenth of what you have earned, and where that came from is agriculture, where you would grow a crop and you would save a tenth of it. You save, for every 10 ears of corn that you grew, you put one in the corn bin to save for the next year. Let it dry. You shuck it. You put those seeds back out in the ground the next season, and you get that corn to come back. But with most of the plants that you have, most of the food that's grown now is hybrids, and what this means is that they've crossed previous generations to create the current one. This makes people dependent upon the seed companies and their parents, like Monsanto, who also has all the chemicals. You have to go back to them. We use this term sustain. Monsanto was one of the most sustainable companies in the world because all their customers have to come back to them every year. But we don't want that. We want to be able to grow food that is clean, healthy, heritage, heirloom seeds. And a seedless watermelon is not sustainable, because you can't take that watermelon, pull the seeds out of it, and grow that watermelon back again the next year. You will not get it. It doesn't even have any seed. Just think, if you and I had, as men, didn't have any seed, we would have no children, and then the world would go away. And it's the same exact principle.
What about the corn?
Corn, most of the corn you get is GMO. You can find, now you go to the store these days, you will find some corn that says non-GMO, which is much better than GMO corn, but a lot of that is still hybrid. To find open pollinated organic corn is really quite difficult. It's a small percentage of the crop, and there aren't many stores that actually carry it. Whole Foods does. They'll say it's non-GMO, or they'll say it's local, and but sometimes it's commercial but local. So these are the choices we have to make, and it's so important that we be informed about what those are. So that's a very good question. I gave up grapes unless I can get Red Globe grapes that have the seeds in it.
Right.
And then not many places you can find that. You can get it at the DeKalb Farmers Market, or you can get it at the H Mart, or some of these markets, or many of the ethnic markets is where you can find a lot of original food. But you go to Publix and Kroger, you can't even buy a grape that has seeds in it. Everything is seedless. I won't eat them.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for calling. We so appreciate it. We have a couple of other callers. Caller, are you there?
Yes.
Yes, thank you for joining us. You have a question or comment you'd like to make?
Hey, yeah, I have a question. I wanted to find out what kind of opportunities you have for volunteers. Specifically, I've got a teenage daughter who desperately needs some kind of volunteer work. And I'm wondering what you could offer her and other people who are interested in volunteering.
Oh, we got plenty of volunteer opportunities. We welcome volunteers 7 days a week. And we have a number of people who have required community service, whether from the court or from the schools. I guess the young people in school now have to do some community service, and we will sign up. If it's an individual, they can just show up, because there's always somebody at our site 7 days a week downtown. If it's a group of people, we ask that a group of volunteers, we ask that you make arrangements at our office. Our office number is 678-973-0997, and you can get that information off of our website, 678-973-0997. I love to have young people come out and volunteer, because they can get their hands in the dirt and become better grounded, and I think that's so important.
And that's where that came from, right?
That's exactly where
Grounded,
that came
better
from.
grounded, right? Get your hands in the soil.
So you're welcome,
Great.
ma'am. I'm happy. Thank you. Thank you for asking.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you so
Peace
much
be
for
unto
calling.
you.
So
Okay, bye-bye.
give your contact information again, Rashid. We do have another caller, however.
Yeah,
right?
my contact office 678-973-0997. If you want to call me, and I do return phone calls, it's 404-520-8331. Info@trulylivingwell.com if you have questions, or if you want to get with me, it's Rashid@trulylivingwell.com.
All right. And we have another caller. Caller, are you there?
Yeah, I have just a couple of quick questions.
Okay.
First, is there like an umbrella organization that you can contact? What I'm getting at, is there a website or umbrella organization that has all the names of these organic gardens that are around the
Yeah,
city?
there are a number of places you can go to get that information. I would suggest, first of all, calling Georgia Organics.
Georgia Organic.
Georgia Organics. You look up, you'll find them easily. We got a young man there named Tenesio who works with the farmers. They got Georgia Organics has a lot of wonderful programs, and they serve. I wouldn't call them an umbrella organization, but they are a focus point for a lot of the information. The Atlanta Local Food Initiative is another organization you can call. Food Well Alliance you can call. These are all groups that work very closely with the local food movements. You can call the Food Bank, the Atlanta Community Food Bank. So there are a lot of organizations that can provide you with that information, and I've just given you the name of 4.
Thank you. And the last question, what happened, does anybody know what happened to that large supposedly garden that was supposed to be behind City Hall, wasn't it?
It hasn't happened. It might get done. Mayor Reed has another year and a half in office. I was told recently that he would like to see that garden established as his part of his legacy for the city. The politics and why it has not happened are unfortunate, but a lot of confusion at City Hall around that issue. But as I said, I was told recently that Mayor Reed would like to see that done before he leaves office. So by God's grace, we'll see it soon.
Again, I'm going to give the phone number, which is 404-523-8989. Time is going quickly, but we could take at least one more, maybe 2 calls. 404-523-8989. Please give us a call. Again, my name is Heather Gray, and the program is Just Peace, and we're talking with Rashid Nuri of the Truly Living Well Center for Natural Urban Agriculture. One of the things that we talk about, or you make reference to, and I certainly talk about as well in the work that I've done in agriculture, is the importance of saving seed. That farmers throughout the world have done historically since the advent of agriculture. And so it's quite controversial in that sense, because the likes of Monsanto and other corporate agribusiness companies go after farmers who save seed, and they try to change laws in countries so that farmers cannot save seed. So are you teaching a course in knowing how to save seed?
No, there are a number of folks around who have. We haven't taught that, because we're not doing it to the extent that I would like to, and it's principally because in order to grow seed, you have to let the food stay in the ground a little longer, okay, so it can go fully to seed. Because for example, if you're growing broccoli, what you eat of broccoli is actually the flower, okay, and in order to get seed from that, you have to let it completely bloom. All those flowers, it comes up with yellow flowers that go up about 2 foot high. Then it has to sit there long enough to be pollinated and make the seed, which means that those broccoli plants stay out in the field twice as long, and I can't put something else back in it. So as we grow and expand, that is one of the areas that I would like to have us get. Now, and don't misunderstand, we do save some seed, but I don't save enough seed to do my entire crop. And so that's not true. We have taught people how to take tomato seed and spread them out on some paper towels or newspaper and let them dry out, and pepper seeds. Those tomatoes, peppers are one of the easiest plants to save seed on. We always save our marigold seed. We save sunflowers. So we do save sun, but I like my brassicas, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, kale, those things I don't save those seeds because it takes up too much field space.
Right. So are groups around the country doing this, Rashid? Teaching people how to save seed?
Seed Savers Exchange. Yes, people who they have exchanges all over the country where you can take your seed in, exchange it with other people for open pollinated, heirloom, hereditary, that word, seed. It happens all the time. You can look on the net, just Seed Savers, seed exchanges, and you'll find lots of information.
What about in the South? Is there much of that happening in the South?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Seed Savers Exchange is a big organization, and that's what they do. So all over, here they had a seed saving here in the springtime. In the springtime and the fall is when that usually happens, particularly in the springtime. And folk will get together and just exchange seeds. Trade seeds, I guess that's a better way of saying it. They trade.
Excellent.
No, and it's important. It's very important. Certainly, it's the next stage in the evolution of True Living Well. I want to do that. We just haven't done it now.
Okay,
but if people need seed, they can come to us because we know where to buy good quality seed, and people want it. We do sell seed.
So the seeds that you're saving at Truly Living Well, are you offering this to the public, or is this for your own regeneration?
Seed that we're offering are ones that I buy in bulk, and then we share and distribute that to whoever needs it in the community.
Okay, excellent. So you're hoping on doing more of that in the future, you're saying. That's excellent.
Oh, yeah, we will.
So we have another caller. Caller, you there?
Yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, I was calling because I had a question to ask Mr. Rashid.
Yes.
It has to do with the bees and pollination. Where are all the bees going? They're disappearing.
Yeah.
Thank you for calling about that.
Yes,
Go
ma'am.
ahead, Rashid.
It's been the bees hive collapse is a big problem. Now, you got to understand how important bees are to the cultivation of food. Most of the fruit that you eat, you wouldn't get it unless you had the bees to pollinate it. And what they do is they move these bees around on big flatbed trucks and take them from field to field to pollinate the plants during the season. Now, and then they rob their honey. So this means in order for the bees to eat, they have to give them sugar water. And they do give them sugar water, and that cane, the traditional processed cane sugar, kills everything. That plus the fact that the bees are moving through fields and areas where they have been sprayed with chemicals and insecticides that are killing the bees. So it's the improper use of the bees that has created some of the problem that we're seeing with the beehives and the collapse. It's an environmental issue that is of great concern to most people who are looking at the systems.
Yes, because I have a plum tree. And yet, last year it was loaded with plums, and this year I didn't get one plum.
I'm not sure which variety you have, but sometimes there are many plants that will only produce every other year.
Okay.
All right, so that I wouldn't. If you don't get any fruit next year, then I'd really be concerned. Yeah, okay. I know pecans, for example. That's how pecans protect themselves from insect infestation. They trick them. So a tree, they only make pecans every other year, so they flip-flop back and forth. So the bugs will come to the pecan tree. This year, they may get a little bit. They come back next year, there's nothing there because they've gone back to the tree that they had last year. So nature is really fascinating and amazing. This is why I am such a believer. The intelligence that underlies this creation in which we live is just so amazing and immense. The way that the plants protect themselves and communicate with themselves, the interconnection between the plants and the animals, the role that the bees and the insects play in helping to provide us with the food. We need to. I'm not a bumper sticker person, but I had one bumper sticker that I had on my car until it wore off, and it simply said, "Respect all creation."
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I was just concerned about my tree, but I'll watch it and see what happens.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for calling.
Try to get some. You may need to prune it just a bit over the winter time.
That's another thing too I can do. Okay.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Rashid. Another great evening of callers and comments. The time has gone quickly.
You kicking me out of here now?
Just about. We have just a few seconds left here. It's actually 7 o'clock.
I want y'all witness. They're kicking me out.
Thank you, Rashid Nuri.
Thank you very much.
Give the website one more time.
TrulyLivingWell.com.
All right.
Come see us.
All right.
Call me. Peace be unto you all.